is a special and urgent message for you. Your safety and perhaps your life depends on remaining calm and following these instructions. Federal authorities have indicated an enemy attack is probable.
This was a really strong piece. There's a lot packed into 10 minutes. We get this really amazing narrative that's interspersed with all these different events. And I love how cohesive the whole thing felt, despite the fact that it covers a lot of ground. Like, we get everything from World War II to COVID to Black Lives Matters, and it didn't feel disjointed. It's got a great energy that keeps your attention the whole time. And stylistically, there's a lot to appreciate too. We get some beautiful photography. The choice to do it all in black and white was a great match to the audio. And I really want to commend the filmmakers because they managed to create something that was engaging and creative, but at the same time, thought provoking and meaningful. It's not always an easy task, but they did it and they did it really well.
I really like pre-existing conditions. You know, I felt connected to the ancestors, connected to my roots, even Black Power vibes. But more than that, I really liked the clips of John Lewis. Because John Lewis is a legend in the game, and he was really spitting. And this whole film was really spitting. It said some powerful things in some powerful ways. I really like when he was talking about his cousin, and he was saying it was when people hear about his cousin, they say, "Oh, did he have a pre-existing condition?" And his pre-existing condition was that he lived in America. I think that it says everything it needs to say on its own. You feel me? So I really like that. I think that speaks to the power of this film. So overall, it was really well done. Good job.
I felt that the film Pre-Existing Freedom did a great job of showing the transformation that our country and many of us as individuals have been going through the past couple of years due to COVID, and also the transformation that is occurring because of the growing number of people who refuse to allow our discussion about race to continue being marginalized, and who are demanding for change to occur to make this a more just and equal place to live in society. And I think that what is really interesting visually about this film is how, because of COVID, the main individual who's featured is trapped and in his apartment, and is showing the anxiety that came with that. And I think that he brings up the idea of how many friends he has lost during this time. And I think an important point that this film makes and he makes is separating ourselves from our affiliations, and that as a choice, and how that may make us more isolated, but ultimately it is often the right choice and the only choice in order for us to seek justice.
What a strong and poignant piece. Certainly very topical right now. The way everything is presented here, though, is just really it's creative, it's artistic, it's beautiful. It's also kind of gritty as well. It's real, but it's also very cinematic in a way. It feels like a documentary, but it's really just unfolds like the news, like a story. They just did such a great job. Some fantastic editing too that just keeps things dynamic and engaging and really go go go. But it also kind of takes its time and is paced really well too. It's a really delicate balance of a lot of great qualities that make interesting and engaging film. They all come together here and do make this piece just larger than the sum of its parts and worth checking out.
Pre-existing freedom, that was so real. And looking back at summer 2020 was a really intense time for people in the world in general dealing with COVID, and not really knowing how to get it under control, and just like this panic and uncertainty across the world. And on top of that, the Black community is also dealing with the most heightened, intense frustrations and interactions with police, and just tensions were at an all-time high and the stakes were never higher. And this film, just like watching it now in 2022, looking back and just being like, wow, I can't believe we went through that. And that's not to say neither of those things aren't still happening today, but I think everything really came to a boiling point then. And yeah, just really just kind of like took me back to that time, which was not a great time. But I thought that the words were so powerful. I love the way that it was filmed in that black and white, having the narration, having that, excuse me, that main individual, just getting to like watch his face and seeing the different expressions and feelings and thoughts and opinions kind of flicker across it. It was very real. And I think that the best art can really come out of trauma and tragedy. And, you know, you make art out of your pain. And I think that this was a really good example of that. Very great job. And yeah, sending like lots of love to the team who made this.
Pre-existing Freedoms is a short film by a director, Frederick, one name. It's an American film, and it's about the Black experience in the United States and the imperative to remember that freedom has yet to be achieved for all. There was a long history of the struggle for freedom in the United States. The Declaration of Independence is echoed. Frederick gives a perspective that is a reminder. It is also a call for action, yet it is also one that recognizes, visually at least, the effort that has gone into the movement so far, and hints that, of course, more needs to be done. In the age of Black Lives Matter, which this is part of the movement, at least it's referenced, it is a reminder to us all.
This is very interesting. It shows us some testimonials on race and the relation to the pandemic. They give us some experiences of hate, resentment, oppression, but also some contrasting with emotion, the grief or loss, and some intentionality as well. I love this statement. We don't want to make the USA great again, just better. And I think that's what we all should be thriving for, not just a country, but oneself. And it's just, please, can we get rid of injustices already? It is so good to see films like this, to give hope and talk about the important issues, and it was a great film.